That's quite a thought, isn't it? Christ filling the skies. If you look out of the window and you may see snow clouds or just blue sky or whatever it is, and it changes all the time, and yet God is there. God is also with us, but God is in the skies. Christ whose glory fills the skies. That's extraordinary, isn't it? And makes you think of the world differently when you think of everything that you see being infused by God. I remember also realizing that things can look different, just as we can think of the sky looking different. So objects can look different. When I had to sort out the things in my parents' flat when they had both died, I came to realize that the things that they had treasured, somehow to my eyes after they had gone, no longer seemed special. To them, they were objects that they loved because they reminded them of somebody who'd given it to them or of a special place that they'd been to. But when they weren't there, their love didn't fill them, and I saw them differently. I just saw perhaps the cracks and the grime. The dust wasn't ever grime. But that's strange. It was a revelation to me how different these things looked when they were no longer sustained by love. So, as we think about how we see things, let's listen to our Bible reading today, which is from the Gospel of St. Mark. You may remember the episode. After 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain where they were all alone. There he was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. And there appeared before them Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what to say. They were so frightened. Then a cloud appeared and covered them, and a voice came from the cloud, "This is my Son, whom I love. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they no longer saw anyone with them except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus gave them orders not to tell anyone what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. They kept the matter to themselves, discussing what rising from the dead meant. Seeing Jesus looking whiter than anything could be bleached, not a matter of Daz or whatever, Persil or whatever the soap powder is, Jesus completely changed in the eyes of the disciples. And although he then reverted to normal, they would go on seeing him in that transformed way because they had had the experience and they had heard the voice of God. Listen to him. Jesus had been trying to tell the disciples who he is, and they hadn't understood. It's not surprising, but yet it's very important that they now get something of the idea. And Peter, James and John were the three leaders of the disciples. And they were told three things, effectively. One, that Jesus is completely different, as well as being just the same, glowing white one moment, close to God, and yet reverting to normal, fully God and fully human. Second, because there was Elijah and Moses there, that Jesus is part of God's plan. Elijah was the greatest of the prophets. Moses was the one to whom God gave the commandments, the tablets of stone. And then the third thing is that voice, God speaking, "This is my Son whom I love, listen to him." That changed the way the disciples saw Jesus, thought about him. And that led me to think, because it's time for some music, about seeing things differently. And one song that came to my mind was "Love is a Many Splendid Thing." So let's hear it.